Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to this section on AI in the church. I first want to appreciate the invitation to speak around how AI can actually help the church. And, as we continue to see AI evolve and its use evolve, there's a strong need for the church to get on the train and start using it more. And so some of the things that we're going to be discussing today is around how we can use it and how we can utilize AI a lot more in our churches. My name is Iyanu. I'm the CEO of Zius. We're an AI ML consulting company that focuses on building and creating custom solutions for our customers. I don't only do this professionally, I also do this to glorify the Lord. And it's really exciting to be able to introduce you to how you can use AI to glorify God in your churches. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started right away. So let me share my screen. And then I'm going to have the slide go live. So let's do this. View. Sure. Excellent. So we're going to start here. AI in church, or AI in your churches. How can AI help our churches, and how can AI be used and utilized to grow and improve our church processes? So I spoke a little bit about myself. Some of my research interests are the intersection between AI and machine learning and various other domains like finance domain, the drug repositioning medical domain, drug repositioning domain. For example, how do you identify old drugs for new use? So how do you use, let's say you're using, a really toxic drug for cancer. How do we use a less toxic drug like Panadol or some other medication to solve such problems? So those are the kind of problems I generally look into. Not just that, finance investment is another area that I'm really big on, and how do we use AI to facilitate and to help the investment process to be much better. And also, how do you build scalable solutions where that power this AI infrastructure? So say you're building these tools, what does it sit on? Is it on AWS? Is it on Google Cloud platform? And how do we create tools that actually help to improve to make these AI applications that we're building more scalable? So that's a little bit about me. When I think about AI, I think in the realms of repetition, I would say, an intelligent task. What is repetition? Repetition is very similar to automation. So let's say, for example, there's something you do very often at church, certain things, certain activities that we do very often. Every single Sunday, we have ushers outside welcoming people to church and things of that nature. If that's how you do it in your churches. Some other churches may not necessarily have ushers outside. They might be inside the church and welcoming people to the church. Every single Sunday, we either give offerings via online platforms, or we give offerings right there in person. We could write a check to give our offerings as well. So there are various ways and various methods to basically give our offerings. So that's repetitive. The pastor comes to the altar and gives a sermon. That's something that happens consistently every single Sunday. What other repetitive tasks do you think that we do? I would like you to write that down. Things that you do that are very repetitive. Every Sunday you have to basically do and repeat, doing. For example, if you're in the media, you would share your slides, and you project that slide so that the church can see or follow through with the worship, or share the pastor's sermon. And so these are repetitive tasks. These are things that we do repetitively on a Sunday basis. That is repetition. And for things that are repetitive, we can apply automation to improve them so that we don't have to do it. We can have a system do it. Imagine that you didn't have to set the media slides for Sunday. You could maybe speak to a phone, and it generates these graphics that you want, that you like, that you love, and it basically puts that out for you on Sunday. Now, it means that you've understood the patterns. You've probably created a system around it, or you've written code to be able to help to improve that task, or to help to be able to get that task done. Now, over time, what you're going to realize is that then you start learning from what it is that you're sharing, either from people. They say, oh, maybe do it this way, or maybe do it that way. You're gathering data. And this data helps to feed back into that automation system and helps to make whatever that task is better and more appealing to the people that are viewing it, and more exciting to the people that are building it. And that's where the data comes in, is where intelligence comes in. Why? Because then the system needs to be able to understand patterns within that data sets, to be able to help to make more informed decisions and to make the whole process better. This is where intelligence comes in. So when you start having data, then you can apply machine learning, or artificial intelligence, as people will call it now, to the data to better understand the patterns that exist, so that you can actually give to the end user a more welcoming and exciting system or platform or operation. Okay, so that's what AI does. AI takes data, analyzes the data, and it helps us to make better, more informed decisions. And so there are different types of this. So essentially, you could group it into various types. I typically group it into supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. And that is the traditional, conventional way that it's done in the field. You see, there's supervised, meaning that you have the training data set and you have the training labels, and then you basically apply AI ML to the training data set. The training data set in this case would be the data set around your customers, or the data set around your church members, or the data set around a specific context or text that you're really trying to apply to. Then you label that data, and then you train that data, which means you actually use the algorithm to better understand, okay, what are the patterns that exist within the context of this data set. Then you generate this model, and this model helps you to be able to take a new label or a new entry and test it against that model or that pattern that was generated. And then this gives a response or an outcome that actually helps to make that end user's life better. So that's supervised. You have unsupervised, which means you don't really have a labeled data set. You just have a generalized data set, and you're trying to use the data, understand the data, understand it enough to be able to make very clear decisions. So in such instances, you try to maybe plot the data points that you're getting on a graph, and then you're able to see, oh, okay, it appears like there are this group of people that are within this segment, and this other group of people that are within this segment. And you can start to apply whatever change or whatever thing you're trying to modify within those subgroups. Why? Because the data has told you about it. So what are some of the applications of this? This could be very useful in the predictive analytics space. So we want to be able to take data and want to be able to predict, for example, how do we forecast what our church membership might look like 10, 15 years down the line from the data we're collecting today. We need existing data sets from what exists now, And then we want to use the timestamps from those data sets to basically begin to predict what the future is going to look like, right? Other things that could be done is like text to speech, right? For text to speech, for example, we are looking at how do we take a text and convert that text into a conversation. So the AI needs to understand the texts, and it needs to be able to assign a text to an audio file or audio content or audio. How do I say it in such a way that you could understand? So a text to audio, meaning maybe if someone said yes, it will be able to assign that yes to an actual what? To an actual text. If someone said no, to be able to assign that no to an actual text, so that if someone were to say a full sentence, it could take all of that and use that. Or if someone were to text or put in a text of a whole sentence, this tool would take all of that text and convert that text into an actual speech. So we have text to speech, we have image recognition, where you have an actual image and it could tell you that this is a character, or this character exists within the context of this image, right? So that's image recognition. The one we're all familiar with, which is the ChatGPT, is the language processing piece, where basically we are learning about how we communicate with one another and using that and imputing that into a system that is able to basically take a text from us and give us a response that actually answers the questions that we're asking, and it does it in such a way that it isn't monotonous. It actually appears like it actually does understand what it is that you're actually saying. So that is really, really amazing. And that's what we have with ChatGPT. We also have expert systems, planning, optimization, and robotics. And robotics goes into where you now actually start to use machines to actually try to get stuff done. Like, imagine a robot being your media person or working with you in the media team and addressing issues that you probably might not necessarily be able to address. Now that might be spooky for some. I'm not in any way suggesting that we go that route, but hey, that is what robotics is. It's the ability to use machines to do what we can do physically. Now, there are various branches of artificial intelligence, and I kind of broke them down earlier, but just to sort of group them, we have the machine learning piece, we have the neural network piece, where we begin to deal with large amounts of data and the computer trying to understand the connection that exists between its data sets. We have robotics, where now you have you can actually have a machine that can help set up chairs on Sunday, like pick up chairs and set them up for people to use on Sunday. We have expert system, which I'm not going to bother going into, but it's just a really static system where you enter a question, it gives you an answer. You enter a question, it gives you an answer. We have fuzzy logic, and then we have natural language processing, which is the ChatGPT that I was discussing earlier. So what are some of the current challenges that we're having in the church today? Let's start there. Current challenges. One is we have a challenge with engagement and retention. So how do we keep people engaged in church? How do we get people to stay tuned and stay apt and stay focused and things of that nature? How do we get them to be more engaged in community events, small groups, and other forms of continuous engagements that we have? How do we get them to do that? How do we get them to attend, weekly events and things of that nature? Those things still remain a challenge for us today. So that's number one. Number two is generational gap. So now we're saying that, the older generation wants a specific type of content, whereas the newer generation want a specific type of content. So How do we create content that everybody loves, everybody can connect with, and they can still be blessed, they can still be moved, they can still, God could still use all those millions to basically get his word and message to his people? How do we make that happen? Also, we see a lot of churches are struggling, to stay to sustain themselves financially, because there's a whole lot of aspects, and largely you have volunteers, but at the same time there are still other things that the church would have to take care of. And so, do they have the financial basis or resources to be able to make that happen? That still remains a challenge today. Also, how does the church stay relevant? Right? The culture is changing, the way things are done in our is slowly shifting. There's more use of AI and use of things are just shifting. So, how does the church stay relevant in this rapidly changing cultural landscape? You know, how does the church address some of the current issues, social issues that are causing a lot of problems and uh, needs the attention, spiritual leadership? How do we address those issues? How do we stay responsive to these issues? How do we stay responsive to the needs of the community that we actually serve? These are real um, critical things that I think that the church needs to pay attention to. And these are some of the key areas that AI could help to dramatically solve. And it's exciting. We're actually living in exciting times where the church needs to actually jump on this and not shy away or run away from it. Community outreach. How do we use AI or use some of these technological tools to serve our community better? You know, how do we manage the systems within the church? We have a lot of people volunteering, but we need to be able to track events, track things that are happening, and see its effectiveness real time. How do we manage all of this? How do we manage crisis within the church, right? Issues happening, people having grievances and things of that nature. How do we manage it, and how do we use these technological tools to actually solve this problem? These are some of the areas where AI comes in really, really handy to help to solve. And I saved the best for last. How do we bring in digital transformation into our churches and create a way for our churches to effectively connect, or for members within our churches to effectively connect with one another through technology? We've seen how Zoom and some of these digital platforms have really largely shifted the way that we do church today. How do we continue to improve on that and get better in using those technologies? Now we're seeing churches building virtual communities and things of that nature. How do we get behind that? And I think that AI offers a really, really clear path to be able to make this kind of things happen. So I discussed the different areas. Now I want to share how these different areas how we can use technology within the context of these different areas to shift the way we do church today. So with digital transformation, we can now effectively reach out to a broader audience, like including those who are not basically physically within the church. We can also more effectively communicate and engage with our members without any issues and without any problems. Why? Because these solutions actually help to lift off that burden, right? keeping members active now becomes a lot easier, and we're able to strengthen our church communities. Why? Because the individuals that are actually coming to church are now getting a sense of belonging. Why? Because we're staying more connected to them, and these technologies are helping us to stay more connected to them. We're able to increase the engagement levels that exist across our volunteers and participation with people in church. Why? Because these technologies are actually helping to aid that, right? So it's really critical for the church to begin to look at these areas, because these areas that can actually help to change the trajectory of the way church is done actually today. So let's keep going. Also, embracing this would actually help to start creating and generating new ideas that would keep the community more dynamic and resilient, and keep people more get people feeling more valued and more connected to what it is that is happening in our churches today. And as we begin to learn some of that, then addressing social issues and issues that, affect the church and is so relevant to members become the point and focal point of messages and things of that nature. And this relevance then begins to connect us with more people, begins to bring more people in, and we start to see some growth happening within the context of our churches. So how do we get this to happen? This is where AI plays a huge role. Okay. This is where AI plays a huge role. And I want to address technology, and then I want to slowly shift into the AI context. So let's start with technology. So now we have live stream, and with this live stream, we're able to connect with people. We're able to reach out to people. People are able to watch us live from wherever they are. So it breaks cultural bounds and locational issues. We're able to connect with people, and that's great. But also, we're able to not just do that, we're able to use social media. And this is the connectivity piece. We're able to use social media to reach these individuals. And we're able to also cross different platforms and reaching out to them. So you can put your content on LinkedIn. You can put your content. A lot of people don't use LinkedIn, but it's time for the church to get on LinkedIn and actually start to use LinkedIn. It's a really, really, really effective tool for communication and for actually harnessing the recruiting power that LinkedIn brings into the table. So we have social media connectivity, and then we also have giving, like Givelify and the Titan platform. So Givelify is a very good one, right? So streaming for digital transformation, streaming, social media network, Givelify. Now, what we want to be able to do, as I was talking about AI, is we want to be able to gather information from the streaming events that we're doing and use it to feed back into giving better content while we're doing our streaming. So some effective ways of doing that is during the streaming, creating an opportunity for people to fill out surveys or to fill out polls that actually makes them feel more engaged with the content. And also making sure that the content that is actually given or shared during these streaming events are actually they look really nice, they look really engaging, and they actually help the audience to connect. Some other engagement tools that I think are really, really nice and really solid is Mighty Networks and Hivebright. Mighty Networks allows you to actually create church communities, connect with people within the community, host events and things of that nature, and share all of that within the context of the community. So let's talk about generational gaps and relevance. And this is where I start to go into how AI can actually help to resolve that. So one is personalized content curation. So imagine that we stop just creating content just for one sector or one age segment, age bracket, and we're actually providing content that are applicable to the youths, the young ones, and the adults. Now, creating such a content could be really, really challenging previously, but with AI, this is now a lot easier, right? Because now you can basically take the content and put that into ChatGPT and generate one for various age brackets. The church also needs to start paying attention to VR and augmented reality. Today, we are building a system that allows church folks to be able to play games in virtual reality. So it's part of what it is that we're doing today. And the other one I wanted to emphasize is for relevance and adaptability. When we get all this feedback and get all this content, which system do we feed that into to better understand what people are saying? How about if we had a way that content or that recommendation is fed into a system that is able to analyze and help give recommendations based on what it is that is fed into it? How about if we had an event management system where people can basically share what it is that they're looking forward to for the event, and the church can take that feedback and incorporate it into how the event is structured? So one good way to do some of this content piece, especially personalized content curation, is using ChatGPT. And I want to go into what prompt engineering is. So ChatGPT, for those who don't know, ChatGPT, which you can access online. If you just go on Google and just type ChatGPT, you'll be able to access it. ChatGPT gives you the ability to enter a text or query text and get a response. And these responses sound very natural, sounds like as though you're having a conversation with the chatbot, which is what makes it really sentient in a way, knowledgeable, able to understand what it is that you're saying and give you a response. And it's even able to pick back from the previous response and give you further responses. So ChatGPT, before you could use ChatGPT effectively, you need to understand what prompt engineering is. And this was a popular term that started getting thrown around after ChatGPT was created. So what's prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is a technique used in the field of AI, particularly natural language processing, to basically create an input prompt that actually guides the AI to better understand what the expected responses. So you want the input prompt to ChatGPT to be one, precise, which I'll go into the details of. You want it to be precise, which means it needs to be clear. It's very, very specific. You want to minimize ambiguity and make sure that it's, the AI actually understands the context and the intent while you're creating your prompt. Two, you want to make sure that it has enough understanding of the context, to help the AI to actually generate a coherent and relevant response. You want to also have the ability to test and tweak these prompts iteratively so that you can improve the quality that AI gives as a response. So that's what it's called, prompt engineering. Also, while engineering a prompt, it's also very critical that you use examples that actually illustrate what it is that you're expecting as a preferred response. Make sure it's really, really clear. Make sure if you do not want any inappropriate responses, you clearly say, this is what you do not want, so that it gives you something that is more real and more unique and specific to your use cases while avoiding negative terms. Also, if you want to design it in such a way that it's like a call and response kind of, a style, conversational style, you want to say that within the context of the prompt that you're creating. So why is this helpful for us in church? Because now we can use this kind of tool for content generation, right? We can use it to generate articles. We can use it to generate stories. We can use it to generate social media posts. We can use it to generate marketing copies. We can use it to do a whole bunch of things. We can also use it for our customer support, right? To design prompts for chatbots where the virtual assistant can actually get an input from our church members and then basically generate an ideal response on that specific input. So this is made life easy from a customer support perspective. I must say we have a tool. So if you're interested in that tool, you could reach out to me at Iyanuoluwa@Zius.com. And this tool actually allows you to create chatbots for your churches. So you can put in like a PDF file, and this PDF file will be processed by our systems internally. And then that chatbot goes live on the left side of your screen or whatever side you decide to put it. And your church members can ask questions around the content that you put in the context that you shared with us, PDF, whatever, and be able to get responses. So customer support, creating that chatbot solution, we have that available. And it's not just our solution that is available. You could Google search some other solutions and stuff like that. But if you're interested, feel free to reach out. Also for educational tools, right? How do we take our discipleship manuals and all this content that we have in church, and how do we use it to create a learning platform where people can come in, basically listen to or read a specific discipleship text and things of that nature, get explanation, get answers to their question, and also generate this kind of content. This is the power that prompt engineering and the use of ChatGPT brings to the table for us. So now I said chatbot, we can create chatbots, but now we can create newsletters. We can create our discipleship materials using this system. We can respond to the individual's needs at the church. We can develop newsletters more easily because we have the access to these kinds of tools. So let's go into the tools. So one is ChatGPT, which I just mentioned, which allows us to be able to do some of the things that I just brought up just now. Also, we have ManyChats. ManyChats is a really good tool if you want to connect it to your social media platforms, because now you can use ManyChats. You can use ManyChats to essentially respond to lives, your Instagram lives, your Facebook lives, or even text messages that are sent to the church using AI, and do it in such a way that it's free-flowing, it's natural, and things of that nature. You can also add a human in the loop. So at some point, let's say, for example, you wanted to extend the conversation to someone who can actually physically attend to them. That is also effectively possible. So write down ManyChats. ManyChats allows you to be able to effectively, have this sort of response that is powered by AI. Sounds really natural, but at the same time, you can have the human in the loop. Also, you have Midjourney. Midjourney is a really solid tool that can help you to basically get images. So let's say you're looking for really amazing images. You come in, you enter your prompt. The prompt is like a text or a sentence, and then it generates the images for you. So it's really, really good tool for generating images. This is ChatGPT, and I decided to basically write some examples that you can use. So here's an example here for blog posts, for example. Let's say you manage a blog for your church and you wanted to create content for that blog. You can prompt the ChatGPT with this message. You can say, write a blog post on the importance of mental health awareness in the workplace, including tips for employers to support their employees. Then the system will respond with something like you see below. So this is an example of a response. Mental health awareness in the workplace is crucial for employees' well-being and productivity. Employers can support their employees by providing mental health resources, promoting a work-life balance, and encouraging open conversations about mental health. So you have a content like that. You can actually say, okay, you know what? I want it to be 500 words, and it would do that for you. I want you to give me some suggestions on titles, and it would do that for you. So this is really, really exciting. Like, you could create posts. You could actually even feed your scriptures into it, like your own specific scriptures into it. You could say, these are the things that I think are important to be able to get X, Y, and Z. And this thing will generate a template for you. And then you can go and then you can edit it and modify it to suit your needs. You can also generate your social media posts from there. You can say, create a tweet that talks about this scripture, or create a tweet that explains this. And so it takes it and it makes it into really nice text that you can input on your social media posts and stuff like that. So you see here, it says, create a tweet about the benefits of using electrical cars. And it tries to respond to that. Switching to electrical cars reduces carbon emission, lowers fuel costs, and helps combat climate change. Fantastic. So we can create this kind of post using ChatGPT. You enter in the prompt, you create a prompt, and then it generates the response. You can also use it for your marketing copy as well. So say you were trying to advertise an event and all that kind of stuff. You put a little bit about the event and you ask ChatGPT to generate the market copy for you, and it does that effectively for you. Also, customer support, right? So I spoke about customer support. In this case, let's say you had a text of questions and answers. You submitted those questions and answers through a PDF file to a system that then basically trains on that particular text that you submitted and gives a response based on the questions that you put in. This could be also extremely helpful for your educational content as well. You basically, the system basically can generate the responses that help you create content that actually educate your audience. So this is really, really amazing. You should really, really get in and get plugged in into this today. So I decided to also put it here, a Survey Monkey. So Survey Monkey now has the ability to support you while you try to generate like surveys that you want people to fill out that helps you better understand a little bit about your audience. And so you could type in what type of surveys that you want, or what type of question, like a survey you want the system to generate. And so you can ask that in form of a prompt question so that the survey is generated, and you can build it out into a form and then get that form shared with your audience, and then get responses that actually help you to be able to do something better. And that's it. Any questions? Feel free to share your questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. I hope that you, one, sign up or set up your account with ChatGPT. Two, I hope that you're also able to set up an account with ManyChats that allows you to be able to communicate with people effectively on your website. So you set up a Midjourney account so that you can get images that can go on your slide presentations while you're presenting, while you're doing your media stuff. Gamma is also a good one, gamma.app, which is really, really good for creating PowerPoint presentations really quickly, really fast. And then SurveyMonkey is really good for generating surveys so that you can learn more about your audience and able to feed them with the content that work the best for them. If you have any needs or your church is looking for any support in any of these areas, I know we covered just a few things because of our time, but if your church is looking for any support, feel free to reach out to me at Iyanu@Zius.com. Iyanu, Iyanu at ZEITIOS.com. And I'll be available to answer any of your questions. I would also drop a link that anyone can use to reach me. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.